Hello there and welcome to my channel. My name is Venus and today I'm doing the Postscript Book Tag. Say thank you to Jordan from Jordan Reads for tagging me in this book tag. This book tag is fun. It's got quite a few questions about some of the things that you've read this year, some rereads and all that fun stuff. So I'm going to jump right on into the first question. The longest book you read this year and the book that took you the longest to finish. So the longest book that I read this year was definitely It by Stephen King. It was over 1,000 pages. I want to say close to 1,100 pages, but it's not the book that took me the longest to read. The book that took me the longest to read was The Swan Song by Robert McCammon. That book took me about a month and a half to get through. I was really just taking my time through that book. It was my first Robert McCammon book. I absolutely loved it. It's definitely going to be in my top 10 books for this year. It's a horror book and it's post-apocalyptic, which I typically don't like, but I've really enjoyed it. I do have a review in one of my wrap-ups that I'll link above that goes a little bit more in detail about it, but that was definitely the book that took me the longest to get through, but not because it wasn't good. Question number 2, a book you read this year that was outside your comfort zone. I'm definitely going to say The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. I knew that book was going to stretch me a bit. I don't know why I was so intimidated about it. Now, looking back on it, it was unfortunately a book I didn't quite enjoy that much, but I was just so intimidated about it. It was definitely outside of my comfort zone. I knew that it dealt with themes and a magic system that I probably wasn't going to enjoy that much. I mostly felt like I wasn't going to understand it, which did not end up being the case, but overall I just didn't really quite enjoy it. And I actually just recently unhauled it. But that is definitely the book that I was least looking forward to reading, but I really wanted to push myself outside of my comfort zone, and I did read it, but I didn't like it. And that is a fantasy book, deals with earth magic, also kind of post-apocalyptic world, and yeah, overall it just wasn't for me, but it is a very well-loved book, so definitely check it out if you're interested in that. Question number 3, how many books did you reread this year? I reread 6 books this year. The last one I reread was Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. I reread that because the second book, Bloodmarked, recently came out and I couldn't really remember what happened in the first book. I reread My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix right around October, spooky season time. Loved it again. I also reread The Ex-Hex by Erin Sterling during spooky season time. That's kind of a witchy romance book that I didn't quite enjoy as much the second time. I just finished Black Echo by Michael Connelly. That is part of the Bosch series. That's crime fiction. And I also enjoyed that. And I'll go into detail about that in my December wrap-up. And I also reread earlier in the year Nevermore, which is by Jessica Townsend, which is a middle grade fantasy book. I loved the first book, was getting ready to read the second book, couldn't remember the first book, so I reread it, and I'm probably going to have the same issue because there's a third book, and hopefully I won't have to reread both of them again, but they're fun, so not an issue if I do have to reread them. And the last book, that I'm currently rereading is The Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. Her book, the second book in the series, Hellbent, comes out in January in a few weeks. So I definitely hadn't read the first book in quite a while. It's been a couple years, so I knew I was going to need to reread that. Although a lot of things are coming back to me, so I remember more than I thought I did, and I am still enjoying it the second time around. Which brings us to the next question. What was your favorite reread of this year? And I'm going to say My Best Friend's Exorcism. The first time that I read it, and I've said this before, I went into it thinking it was just going to be straight horror about demons and possession and creepy and scary, and it's not. It does have some of those elements in it, but it is very much centered around the two main characters' friendship from like childhood through adulthood, plus some exorcism in it as well, and demon possession, but I loved it the second time around. I actually bumped up my rating, I think, to 4 stars the second time around. So that was definitely my favorite reread of this year. Question number 5, a book you read for the first time that you look forward to rereading. Off the top of my head, I'm going to say Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. I loved that book so much. It was so much fun, so cozy, has like coffee in it and ogres and all kinds of little magical creatures in it that get together and in this little community and help the main character kind of build her coffee shop. And there's other food in it, like I can't remember if it's like croissants and I don't remember, cinnamon rolls maybe, but just it was such a cozy, relaxing, heartfelt, heartwarming book. So I would definitely reread that book again at some point. Question number 6, favorite single short story or novella that you read this year? I didn't read too many short story novellas. I don't typically tend to gravitate towards those, but when I had COVID, I did kind of go on like this romance binge of short stories by, oh my gosh, I can't remember her name. Ali Hazelwood, the author of The Love Hypothesis. I read her 3 novellas. I'll pop them up on the screen. I can't remember their names. Not my favorite though. My favorite novella was definitely The Hellbound Heart by Clive Barker. That was the first book or anything that I've read by Clive Barker, and I loved it. Hellbound Heart is the inspiration to all of the Hellraiser movies, so it is a horror. And I thought it was really, really good. I want to say it was only like just over 100 pages, and I just loved it. I read it pretty much in one sitting, and then I jumped right into watching the movie that I hadn't seen in quite a while, and I loved it. I think he did a really, really good job with the horror elements in it. It was kind of gruesome and no parts dragged on, which you definitely don't want in a short story, and I thought it was brilliant. And I definitely plan on checking out more of Clive Barker's works because I loved it. Question number 7, mass appeal. A book you liked and would recommend to a wide variety of readers. I'm going to mention Legends and Lattes again. Even though it's fantasy and not, for some people that may not like fantasy, I think it's still a really great place to start if you're curious. Or even if you just really think you don't like fantasy, I still think it has a little bit of everything for everyone. It's so heartwarming, and the characters are fun, and it's cozy, and I would definitely recommend that to anyone who asks me to give a recommendation for a book. So if you're curious, read Legends and Lattes. It was great. Question number 8, specialized appeal. A book you liked but would be hesitant to recommend to just anyone. I'm going to go with We Are the Light by Matthew Quick. I actually just read that book recently, and the only reason I say I would be hesitant to recommend this is because there's a lot of triggers in it. There's grief, there's mass trauma, there's a lot of mental health issues that the main character is dealing with, and even some of the other characters are dealing with because of this tragedy that happened in their town. So I would be very cautious to recommend this book to some people that may have a lot of triggers, because it was pretty heavy at some points. The ending definitely made up for it, but overall, I would definitely be a little hesitant to recommend that book, but it is a very good book. Question number 9, reflect on your year as a bookish content creator. Goals met, good, bad memories, favorite videos you made, etc. So I am coming up on my 1 year on BookTube at the end of January. I think the first video I posted was January 31st. So this has been fun, and I'm very, very happy that I decided to finally push through my own insecurities and start my channel. I was nervous that, number 1, I'm older. All of the personal insecurities that we can sometimes put on ourselves. And I'm so glad that I pushed through that. So yay, pat myself on the back for that. And then a goal that I think the first goal as far as subscribers was 500, and I finally reached that not too long ago. So I'm very happy that I was able to get to that goal in the first year. And what else? I am a huge introvert, believe it or not. So for me to kind of step into the community itself and comment and interact with other people and meet other bookish content creators has been very, very stretching for me, but I am very happy that I did, because I've made some great friendships with other booktubers, and I'm having a blast sharing our love for reading, beyond all that stuff that can tend to get in the way of building relationships. And we're all here just to love and gush about books. So it has definitely been a fantastic experience so far. And as far as favorite content that I've made, I'm definitely going to say vlogging, even though it's my least watched booktube content. I don't really care because I enjoy doing it, mostly because it stretches me to learn how to edit and put things together, get creative about shots and all that stuff. And that's just the photography, videography, like nerd in me that loves that part of filming. So I like vlogging. I haven't done one in a while, but I'm still gonna do them. Even if YouTube or, even if it's not quite liked as much as my other content, it's still something that I personally enjoy doing. And at the end of the day, this is my channel and it is a hobby and I'm teaching myself new skills. So I'm just gonna keep pushing through that. Also, just being in this community, there's books that I've read this year that I probably never would have even thought of reading. Swan Song, for instance, I've never even heard of that author, knew nothing about it prior to recently, and he is not a new author. He's been out for quite a while, so I'm very happy that I was able to read that book because I loved it so much. It's just been a really great experience so far. I honestly don't have any negatives really, except for, there's times when you don't feel like setting up your camera and talking in front of it and doing your hair and all that stuff. So that's probably the only downside of it. There are times that I took a break, and yes, it does affect your channel sometimes when you take a little bit of a break, but you just get back on and get the momentum going again. And if you need a break, take a break. That's all I'm going to say about that. And the last question is tag some other bookish content creators. So I'm going to tag Allie from All I Do Is Read. Love her channel. I've mentioned her before. She has the funnest vlogs. See, she gives me inspiration. I love her vlogs. They're so fun. They're funny. I like vlogs. Okay. I think the reason I like vlogs so much is because you really get to see people's personalities. I'm nosy by nature. I think we all are. So you get to see a little glimpse of what their life is like. And so I like to put out content that I also like to watch. So anyway, that's my little vlog thing. So she does a lot of reading vlogs and I love them. And she reads a really wide variety of books as well. I am also going to tag Bex at Bex Reads. I love her channel. She has so many cool video ideas. She reads all kinds of genres. We have a lot of the same opinions in books and sometimes we don't, and that's okay. And that's what makes it fun. And she's always supporting my channel on Instagram, so I had to give her a shout out. So I'm tagging you as well. I'm also going to tag Jack in the Book Stack. I love her channel as well. She has such a mix of content. She has great ideas for videos and she's reading all kinds of genres, and I get so many cool recommendations from her, so I'll tag her as well. And for all of you guys, no pressure. You certainly do not have to do these tags, but just know that I wanted to give you guys a shout out in this video. So that is it. That's all the questions. Tags honestly don't do that well on my channel either, but I do them because they're fun and they kind of bring up questions that I wouldn't have even thought of. So thank you again, Jordan, for tagging me. I had a great time with this tag. And thank you guys for watching. Please, if this is your first time or if you're returning, please hit that like and subscribe button. And as always, I enjoy spending time with you guys, and I will see you again soon. See ya.